Hi everyone, it's me, Sandy Cruz of Sandy K Nutrition, Health and Lifestyle Queen. For years now, I've been bringing to you conversations about wellness from experts from all over the world. Whether it be suggestions in how you can age better, biohacking, alternative wellness, these are conversations to help you live your best life. I want to live a long, healthy, and vibrant life. Never mind all those stigmas that as we reach midlife and beyond, we're just going to shrivel up and die with some horrible disease. Always remember, balanced living works. I really look forward to this season. I want to invite all of my listeners to an online summit called, and it's free. I'm going to be speaking at this online. It's called Breaking the Ceiling, 15 Secrets to Creating Extraordinary Wealth. And this is designed specifically for women. You're going to have 21 speakers. It's going to be free. It's something that I think it's very powerful, and I'm so honored that I was asked to speak at this event because we all know that without our health, we cannot create wealth. I'm going to have the link in the description. Be sure to sign up. It's free, my friends. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Sandy K Nutrition, Health and Lifestyle Queen. Today, as part of my summer reboot series, I am bringing to you my amazing episode with Dr. Christopher Shade on hormones. Now, Dr. Christopher Shade is the founder of Quicksilver Scientific. I do have a discount code. I am affiliated with them. I am partnering with them. I love all their products. Go to quicksilverscientific.com/Sandy K to see some of my favorite products from Quicksilver Scientific. Use my discount code SandyK15, and I have a special little announcement. Now, most of you know, if you've been following me for a while, be sure to follow me on all of my social media channels. I'm very active on Instagram, especially Instagram stories. I'm active on TikTok, Facebook, Threads. Where else? Follow me on Substack. I actually wrote a great article all about hormones, but this is not just your typical hormones. And I've been doing this since 2022. I have been using bioidentical hormones on my face. Oh, yes, I have. So I started to notice this would have been August, September 2022. And I actually told all the ladies in my community what I was doing. There is some research. Back then, nobody was doing this, but I did my own research and shared it with my little community. And then I had a post go viral on TikTok. Over 400,000 women were going, "What the hell? You're putting hormones on your face?" So I started experimenting because I'm like, okay, I'm 52 years old. I'm noticing a little bit of crepiness around my eyes. I actually had this estriol. So there's estradiol and estriol and estrone. Those are the three main estrogens. And I had some estriol that had a little vitamin E in there. And I'm like, oh, I wonder how this would do around my eyes. So I started experimenting back then. And then I shared this, what I was doing, with Dr. Christopher Shade, and he's like, "Oh, yeah." And then, of course, I started using Quicksilver Scientific's estriol, and I started using it more around my mouth, around the cheeks, on my forehead. And I'm like, I'm really loving this. And here's part of the announcement. Quicksilver Scientific is actually coming out. You heard it here first, my friends. They're coming out with an estriol facial serum. So there you go. It is going to be specifically formulated. So I was using their estriol anyway for my face. Now they're coming up with a serum specifically designed for the face. And the thing I love about Dr. Christopher Shade's formulations is he uses nano-formulated nanoparticle size in all of his serums. I don't know if it's all of them. Don't quote me on that. But what this does do is it just helps with absorption. So, I use all their, like a lot of their products. I actually just recently finished doing they call it a pre-tox. So I had a root canal extracted. I had it tested by DNA connections. And let me tell you, there was a lot of pathogenic bacteria in that almost 19-year-old root canal that I had extracted finally. So I actually did a protocol from Quicksilver Scientific. So they're not just about hormones, you guys. I want you to go and listen to my recording. I'll put it in the show notes. I'll put a link in there because Dr. Chris and I also recorded about detox and the importance of detoxification. So these guys are really doing some pretty fabulous things. And I want you to join my Substack so you can read about my experimentation. And now, I kind of think it's funny because I'm seeing more and more people post about using topical hormones on their face for anti-aging. Well, like I said, you heard it here first. Quicksilver Scientific is coming out with a facial serum. You are going to want to try their formulations. I love Dr. Christopher Shade's formulations because he's, he is a true scientist. He looks at how to make a formulation the most absorbable because a formulation is only as good as it's absorbed by our bodies, right? So check it out. Go to quicksilverscientific.com/Sandy K. Use my code Sandy K15, I think it is. Subscribe to my anywhere, you listen to my podcast, Sandy K Nutrition, Health and Lifestyle Queen. Go to my Substack, Sandy Cruz, SandyKruse.substack.com. It's really cool. I'm getting a bunch of friends there from the Netherlands. And, this is a platform that is actually going to really feed into my upcoming book. And this is going to be another little announcement. So I am almost ready to hand over my manuscript to a developmental editor. And my book is 52 essays to live a healthier and happier life and age better. Guys, there's nothing like this. Okay, well, you guys must have heard about the books Chicken Soup for the Soul or Don't Sweat the Small Stuff. By the way, Christine Carlson will be coming on my podcast. I love her. So it's going to be in that sort of a format, but it's going to be relating to health and wellness for the body, mind, spirit, and soul. And I'm really excited about this, you guys. This is my baby. I mean, for those of you who have been following me for a while, this is my jam. And I am a writer and I am a creator. And you'll notice with all my content, I like to do my own stuff. I can't tell you how much I'm getting hassled by people who want to do all my stuff for me, but I just love it so much because that's part of my soul is creating and writing and exploring wellness from a very different perspective. I come from a perspective where I'm not telling you how it is. I come from a perspective where, yeah, I do bring in some science. I bring in some soul. I bring in some philosophy. I bring in hey, like, look at this. Doesn't this make sense? It's just very different in a way of, I think we need to tap more into our own intuition to see if there is resonance as it relates to our wellness. If there's no resonance, it ain't going to work for you, people. It's just not going to work. So follow me on all my socials, Sandy K Nutrition, everywhere. Share this podcast because I can tell you from working with Quicksilver Scientific for a while now and meeting Dr. Chris and knowing the team at Quicksilver, this formulation for the skin is going to be incredible, just like all their other products. And now let's cut on through to this amazing interview with Dr. Christopher Shade of Quicksilver Scientific. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Sandy K Nutrition, Health and Lifestyle Queen. Today with me, I have he's still special, but he's been here before. I always say my special guest, but he's been here before. You're still special. And it is Dr. Christopher Shade, PhD, founder and CEO of Quicksilver Scientific. His Quicksilver delivery systems nanoparticle technology increases the bioavailability of supplements and protocols, leading to higher efficacy products. Dr. Shade strives to evolve the way the medical industry delivers care, and he is perpetually broadening the way the world understands health. And today, I wanted to dive a little deeper in hormones. And so obviously as a midlife woman, I'm very interested in hormones and what they can do. And who better to bring on the show but Dr. Christopher Shade. So welcome, Dr. Shade.
Well, thank you very much, Sandy. I'm very happy to be here. We touched on that last time, and you're like, you do hormones? We're going to do that for a second one. And, it's funny, midlife women are the clearest about everything. In your 30s, your 20s, you're just dragged around by your hormones, and you wish they'd stop. And then they go down, and you're like, can you come back? And then you get them back. When you do this right, you get them back, and you covet them, and you protect them, and you keep them high, and everything's great.
Yes.
For the first time in the 50 years you've been alive.
It's kind of funny because I almost, and maybe correct me if I'm wrong, I almost feel like when the hormones are not going up and down and up and down, you can make yourself coast through, right? By actually customizing what you want and what you don't want.
Yeah, they don't have to run like this. You just get on a good run and roll. Yeah. And you're like, well, this feels great. Let's just keep it like this.
Yes. Yeah, because I'm actually going to be 53 in a couple weeks, right after Christmas. I know. And
right. You're 1 year behind me.
Okay.
I'll be 54 in March.
Oh, okay. So, why are you so interested in hormones? Talk to me. Why such a big interest in them?
Getting personal now.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. It's just kind of natural, man. It's just kind of natural. I got into it a couple of years ago. I met a guy named Mark Gordon who was a hormone guy, and I was a detox guy at the time. I still am.
Yeah.
But he was like, we should make a liposomal testosterone because nobody has an oral way to do this. And I took a bunch of time figuring it out. I looked all through the literature. Nobody had ever been able to do it. And, I was making the liposomes at the time. I had to flip how I did things, but I got it to work. And then I started playing around with them more and more, and I started working with them. And I'm like, this is, I was in the anti-aging world. I'm like, these things are so powerful and so what we need. And there's so much bad memory around, like there's so much fear around them, but they're exactly what we need. And I love getting people up and tuned, and I love them just rolling well. And, I like to see all women loving their life. And so yes. I made all these.
I know. Well, I almost feel like a major foundation that you've got to get right in midlife is the hormones. And then once you get that right, then you can add all the other cool stuff like spermidine and all the other fun stuff, right?
You're just chasing after it with stuff that moves the needle, but your needle's all the way down here. And it's like, oh, look, I'm moving the needle, but you need the damn thing up here. And the hormones bring it over there. And then everything you do really drives it. But,
Yes.
without the hormones, you're just pissing in the wind.
There you go. I mean, okay, so first talk to us about why liposomal, because I know what that means. I'm going to give a very basic description. It's encapsulated in lipids or fat. Why? Why is that better?
Well, for certain compounds, it's the only way you're going to get absorption. Other ones, you'll get more absorption with them. You also bypass the liver, and so you don't go through those first pass metabolism that changes things around. When you get the hormones, it's really the only way to go. You look at like the DHEA, like this DHEA plus. DHEA, like it's got a bad, like women take it, but they take little doses, 5 milligrams, 10 milligrams. And they get up to 20, they start getting acne, they're growing facial hair, all these androgenic symptoms. And those, as far as I can tell, are from the DHA running through the liver and making a bunch of metabolites that are highly androgenic. Not that it's making a lot of testosterone. It doesn't make as much as it does in a nanoparticle format. But, when you look at all the hormones and all the metabolites, there's a ton of them, and we only talk about like 4 of them. And so it seems to make a whole bunch of androgenic metabolites. And you have all these bad reactions, these side reactions. We do 100 milligrams a day of DHEA on women, and they feel fantastic. And nobody has reported acne, facial hair loss, which is, a DHT thing. You don't get any of those reactions because you're in these lipid nanoparticles that absorb right through your mouth, right into the capillaries. You swallow it, you absorb through the stomach, you absorb through the upper GI without going through this long GI to liver, back to blood. And so the DHEA is in an unmetabolized form, and it flips very quickly into testosterone and other positive androgens and doesn't give you these side effects. You go then into these, these topical formats. These are really cosmetics. We have progesterone, estriol, and estradiol. And you're using these as cosmetics, but you put them on your arm, you put them on your skin, whatever. We'll talk obviously about estriol on the face. And, in this format, you absorb very, very quickly.
Wow. Okay. You and I, when we talked, when was this? This would have been end of September, start of October. I've been using just an over-the-counter estriol.
Yep.
Around my eyes. Yep. And I noticed that the tissue around my eyes is not as crepey.
Yep.
And it's like thickening. So I was getting concerned because here I am spending, and this is like, I'm 52. Like I'm going to spend my money on good cosmetics that I think works, and it's not working. And I'm buying such expensive eye creams and serums, and the first thing that worked was a $40 cream that's not even meant to actually be used around the eyes.
Nope.
So why is nobody doing this?
Well, if you Google it, estriol and wrinkles, it'll be like the wrinkle killer, and then there'll be papers where they studied it.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's in a bit of a regulatory gray zone. But totally you can use our estriol on the face. It's freaking fantastic. This really penetrates a lot, so I mix it with a cream and I put it on. But I'm going to make one for the face that is all in a nano serum just for the face, and I'm going to have estriol in it. Estriol, the receptors in the skin respond to it. So what's estriol versus estradiol? So that's our estradiol, and that's what everybody's used to. And, that's where the fear comes in. We'll talk later about estradiol and cancer and the mythology around it. But in your liver, you turn it to estriol. And then it goes back out of your liver into circulation, gets excreted through the urine, but it also goes into the skin. So it goes through more of a lymphatic circulation, which brings it to the skin, oral area, and vaginal area. You pee it out. I mean, this is really interesting. All the estrogen receptors in the urinary tract and the vaginal tract are estriol receptors.
Oh,
And
okay. I thought it would be
that's why,
estradiol.
like estriol here, this one,
Yeah.
we have it, pH buffered at 4.4, and we call it a volval, but in case it slips in there, it's the right pH with lactic acid. That's actually the way you feed the vagina with estrogen is through dripping from your urine. So don't wipe too cleanly.
Oh, interesting.
Be a bush girl, hang out, pee, let it drip down there. I mean, that was fascinating to me when I realized that. I'm like, oh, we're meant to drip a little in there. I mean, it's crazy, but it also goes to your skin.
Well, if you were living in the cave days, you'd probably use a leaf, right? So it's not going to be perfect.
Get the Charmin and clean it all up. You just go pee, and urine is sterile. And, it's like, why not leave a little in there?
Okay.
Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy. But here's a big question that people want to know. And I'm going to be doing a hormone test soon. But if you use a topical estriol just around, let's say, the eyes, it wouldn't raise serum levels.
A bit, tiny bit. Depends how good it is.
Oh, really?
But who cares? Estriol. It's like estradiol, you got this narrow therapeutic window, not enough, you got hot flashes, too much, your boobs hurt. Estriol, man. It's like, oh, I have too much, my vagina is too well toned. Oh no, I don't have any UTIs. Oh, this is terrible. And my wrinkles are going away. I have to get my serum levels of estriol down.
You're killing me. Oh no, I have a vagina.
No, just toned.
I have a vagina like a 30-year-old again.
Oh no. And that's what you hear. It's like, this shit's good.
See, you're making me go red again. Now I'm getting all.
See it.
I'm
getting all inked up, and you're like, "Where's the estriol?"
I know, because I'm. Okay. So estriol, isn't that also the one that is highest when a woman is pregnant? I think it is.
Is it that or estrone? I don't know. I should know that.
It's one of those. It's one of those.
Even with 50-year-olds, they're never pregnant.
Exactly. Like that ain't happening anytime soon.
No.
Okay, so you can use it. Really, okay, I'm gonna actually put a little disclaimer here. Speak with your own medical practitioner on what's right for you. Dr. Chris and I are just having a conversation here, so we are not providing medical advice here whatsoever.
Oh.
So I had to put that in there before we continue. So really, estriol is not one of those hormones that women really need to worry about. Now, estradiol is a little bit different. And I've actually heard that if you use it topically, you can cause like the darkening of the skin. Like, is it melasma or something like that? Like, you have to be more careful, right?
There is a generalized fear about estradiol.
Yeah.
We had a woman named Lindsay Bergson here. And she was the first one to blow my mind. And I'd forgotten why I was afraid of estradiol. And it was because of the Women's Health Initiative back in the late 70s, early 80s. I forget when that was. But they did all this data analysis on women on estradiol. And in their first analysis, they're like, oh my God, anyone who takes estradiol dies of a heart attack. Now we know it's cardioprotective. They all die of cancer. Now we know. And that was the one that stuck because the C word sticks in everybody's head.
Of
Cancer,
course.
I'm going to die.
Yeah.
I'm going to die. I'm going to die. A practitioner sent me a link the other day or through my education team talking about changes in phospholipid metabolism caused by cancer. And she said, are your phospholipids causing cancer? It's like, no, it said when cancer happens, they change the way they make membranes.
Yeah.
Say phospholipids cause cancer, but everybody, they put the two together. If cancer and something are in the same sentence forever, one causes the other.
Yeah.
And it's always the wrong direction. So in the Women's Health Initiative, there was all this bad press around estrogen. And it turns out they fucked up the way they built their grouping, and they weren't controlling for things like smoking and things like that. And somebody went back in, looked at everything, reset it, and how about that? All-cause mortality goes down anytime you have any estrogen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Supplementation in age. All-cause mortality. Everything goes down.
Yes.
Cancer rates go down from taking estrogen. Cancer survivability goes way up having taken estrogen.
Yeah.
So we freak out about this stuff. And you don't need a lot. I mean, these are small doses, fractions of a milligram a day, even 0.125. Now, that's usually not enough to get over the hot flashes. Even in something this good, you're going to need a little bit more. But you find that little space, and you're at a space that really has very low risks. Another friend of mine, Mary Cohen, deals with all these women who've had cancer, breast cancer.
Okay.
Now, data now is saying don't even worry about estradiol, but she has very specific estradiol linked, estrogen receptor positive cancers, and she just gives them estriol and a little bit of estradiol if they go too low. She keeps them up, up around 20 on estradiol. Most women want to be a little closer to 30, but she'll be like 15 to 20, keep you there, and slather them in estriol. So in general, unless you have like this very specific mutations for cancers, estradiol is not a worry.
And then there's the whole thing that you can also take some, sulforaphane, broccoli sprouts, just to make sure, just to make sure that you're metabolizing it.
Yeah, so then you're going, all the 2-hydroxy, 4-hydroxy, 6-hydroxy, you're going down the right path.
Yes.
And DIM is great at that. Sulforaphane's great at that. And that just makes sure you're metabolizing everything. In fact, the DHEA plus, we put the DIM right in there.
Oh, interesting.
Because DHEA is going to become testosterone and then going to become estrogen. We also have some chrysin in there because we're trying to hold things into test and DHEA here. And then you do your estrogen independently.
Okay, so interesting that you say this because I've been doing the Dutch test since I was like 45, a long time. I have an aunt, actually 2 aunts who died of uterine cancer. Okay, so I obviously have this predisposition. My body loves to go down that, what is it called? The equine pathway.
Yeah.
The shitty pathway. Quinone. That's it. Quinone. So it always wants to go that way. So I'm like, At one point, I took a ton of DIM, and guess what? I had no estrogen left, and it was not a very pleasant situation. So then I started to use sulforaphane.
And that's funny because with men, it doesn't lower their estrogen levels too much. They need a heavier hitter than that. Yeah, DIM. But with women, you sort of drain off estrogen. So you're saying the sulforaphane didn't. But did you look at quinones and were the pathways right with the sulforaphane?
Yes. So it really, we're going to see. I'm still technically not in menopause. I just had a period like a week and a half ago. I thought I was done. But I was like,
still bleeding. That's pretty good.
Yeah, but I thought now I got to start the clock all over again. But anyway, my entire point that I wanted to make is that once I am in menopause and I know my hormones are kind of flat, I still plan to take whatever it is I need to take. Yeah. Take all of it, but make sure that I'm like redirecting traffic in the right area. Right? I'm not afraid of it. Even though my aunt died of uterine
really
cancer.
Easy, am I having hot flashes? Yes, take more.
Yeah, I don't have hot flashes.
And then you measure once in a while. You just keep it from being really high. Keep the metabolizers in there. DIM was you might have just taken too much, but
Probably.
Yeah.
Because
just make sure those things are in there on a regular basis.
that's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm thinking almost like use the DIM, use all that, but then top up with good quality hormones that are bioidentical, and then you can kind of make sure that you're leveling where you want to be at, right?
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it. But I'm a practitioner, right? And a lot of people are afraid of that. So that's why these conversations are here, so that you don't have to be afraid, and you can talk to your doctor or whoever you speak with that can get you the hormones and see what's right for you, right?
Totally. And there's some things, you want to keep in a narrower window, and some things in a wider window. DHEA, testosterone, unless you're like miles over the board. Like we keep people way on the high end of the reference range to even over it a little bit. And then estrogen, you're keeping sort of low middle. Estriol doesn't matter. Progesterone, you could just slather it on all day. And that's about all you got to know. I mean, it's pretty easy.
Progesterone.
Getting tests are pretty easy too. On our website, we have a link to, and we don't even do it. It's LabCorp, and boom, you just go $75. You get your major hormones.
Oh, that's reasonable.
Progesterone, DHEA, $75.
So really, I think it's important, if you are taking hormones, to test regularly, right?
Yeah.
But once you're kind of flat, however, I think once you kind of bottom out at a certain age, and then it's not going to change a ton afterwards. Like for women specifically, once your periods are done and they're done.
Yeah. Post menopause, you set your doses and it'll stay like that for years.
Yeah.
I can't say with pellets, they're a little weirder. It depends where you get, where they go, but orals, topicals, injectables, you find your dosage and it just stays there.
Okay, can we go back to DHEA? Like DHEA is considered like the mother hormone, right?
Well, pregnenolone technically, but DHEA is the mother of all the sex hormones.
Right. So, from that we make some of the other hormones, right? Yeah. More of the androgen hormones. So
androgens and eventually through to estrogens.
Right. Now, is DHEA typically a hormone that a woman would take or a guy would take, or both?
Both. Yeah. It's your primary adrenal secreted hormone. And then in the gonads, you flip it into downstream into androgens and estrogens.
Okay.
But it's at higher levels than anything else in the blood. And it drives metabolism, it drives cognition, it drives, this sort of anti-aging effect. It's one of the most important ones, if not the.
And the one that you guys.
It's for both of us.
Okay. The one that you guys have.
It actually affects estrogen and androgen receptors, and it becomes all other sex hormones. It's upstream from all of them.
Do you take it, Chris? Of course you do.
Of course I do.
Of course you do. Okay.
And that's something that I'm naturally high in anyways. Like, sort of like intelligent, wiry people have high levels of that.
That's why you're so damn smart, right?
Yeah. Whereas like football players, high in testosterone and THT.
Okay. So why do guys, as soon as they reach their 40s, they start to have higher estrogen levels? And I know chrysin is really good for that, right? For guys?
Yeah, if you can get it in a nanoparticle or topical format. Through the GI, it gets metabolized before it gets in. It doesn't work all that well. In a petri dish it does, in some of these nanoforms it does. But the question is, why does that happen? So there's estrogenizing of men over time.
Yeah.
They go into menopause, and their androgens are going down, their estrogens are going up. Aromatase gets upregulated, and you make a lot of estrogen. You get the rounding out, you get the man boobs. So controlling that's a big thing, And guys are a little, it's a little bit more, you got to go to the doctor. You can't get the over-the-counters because guys can't turn DHEA into testosterone. Women do. In fact, when you look at the pharmacokinetic studies of our nano-DHEA, the estrogen and the testosterone are on exactly the same arc. They come up together. But with men, you take the DHEA, that goes up and estrogen comes up a little, test stays flat. So men are a little bit harder to deal with. You got to get some injectable. We have a nano sublingual now, and it's just coming out to the first couple of pharmacies. There's a place called Amex Pharmacy, just like your Amex card, in Florida that has it, and College Pharmacy in Colorado has it. So guys need that. I mean, they need to take DHEA, but to get testosterone, they need a prescription.
Okay,
and they might need some aromatase inhibitor, anastrozole. The pharmacies used to make Chrysin creams, but they're not allowed to anymore.
Okay, aromatase inhibitor. Can you explain that, please?
So aromatase takes test to est. And when it gets upregulated, it's just whoosh, takes your testosterone into estrogen, and then you have estrogen symptoms. And the aromatase inhibitor blocks that enzyme. Anastrozole is the most common one, it's a little pill. And for guys, they'll take it like once, maybe twice a week. And that just holds back enough to keep the estrogen low. You know, you want to be in that sort of 20 to 40 range. And anywhere below 20, you lose the cardioprotective effects of estrogen. But if you get over like 50, you get like 50 and above, then you start getting all this heaviness. So you're trying to dial that in there.
Yeah, because you see, and I'm not, I'm not trying to be an asshole here, but when you see, when you see some men and they have women hips, and right, like
that's rough.
Is that because of that?
That's estrogen.
Yeah, it is, right?
Wicked. So what makes that? All right. So to like your regular virile male, it's alcohol and coffee, but to the younger guys, it's plastics.
Ooh, yes.
And you're like microwaving food, plastic.
Yes.
You have like some like aroma thing in your car, like blowing through your vents. Those are all environmental estrogens, xenoestrogens.
Yes.
The aromatase upregulators. You're spraying Axe on yourself. That all just makes hormone after hormone. Some of these younger guys, you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's scary. When you see, but you're going to laugh at this. My daughter had her friends here for lunch once, and this was some grade 9s. This was a few years ago.
Yeah.
And one of the kids goes, "Can I use your microwave, Mrs. Cruz?" And I'm like, "Sure." I go, "You're not going to really heat up your food in that plastic container, are you?" He ran downstairs and told my daughter and all their friends that he was going to turn into a woman because I told him he would.
Tell him that. Scare the hell out of him.
But I'm trying to teach these kids because people don't realize you don't want to do that, right?
Yep, totally.
Okay, so.
Scare them.
Yeah. So if you're a man and you're listening to this, the route to raise testosterone is not that simple as just taking testosterone, right?
No, it is that simple.
It is.
It's not as simple as taking DHEA, which does it for a woman. The woman's easier. For the first time in the history of the world, a woman is easier than a man.
Yay.
Women are never easier. They're always a pain.
I know.
It's just the way it is. But men, no, you got to take testosterone. I mean, if you're younger and it's not working, we can clear the plastics out of you, give you some herbs and stuff, and it'll come up. But you're 50 and it's been just gradually declining. You got to take test.
What about?
I haven't figured a way around it yet.
What about things like saw palmetto and no, eh?
No, they don't make tests.
But they help push that needle.
Slow down the movement of testosterone to DHT. Oh, great. Why do you want to do that? Now, you want to do that if you have really bad BHP, benign hypertrophic prostatitis. Otherwise, you're stopping the movement to DHT. DHT is an androgen that's 5 times more potent than testosterone. So when you're looking at a guy's hormones, you take their test, you take the DHT, multiply it by 5, and get a total testosterone equivalence. And saw palmetto just keeps you from making DHT. Keeps more in testosterone, which is weaker than DHT.
Oh.
So unless you have something you're trying to block, I mean, if you're trying not to be bald like me, I'm a high DHT guy, right? And if you're trying not to be bald like me, you can put saw palmetto on your scalp or something, but you're going to have less androgenicity when you're taking orally.
Okay, so then if you're a guy and you're worried about estrogen, you can take Chrysin, you can take DIM.
Chrysin, they're going to help a little. If you're not overcoming it, then get all the plastics out, watch what you're doing, and detox. And if you're not overcoming it, then take an anastrozole.
A what?
Well, an anastrozole.
Okay.
It's a pharmaceutical.
Oh, okay. Yes. I've heard of it. I've heard of that. But really,
women take it for your breast cancer when they're afraid of estrogen.
But you're really a big proponent of testosterone for guys.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. So how long? Like you're okay. You're a year older than me. I've been
taking it.
Yeah.
5 years probably.
Sorry.
I've probably been on it for 5 years.
Okay.
Various forms. I've tried a couple different things. I've tried Clomid, which gets you to produce more, but I didn't really like it as much.
Okay. And then now, okay, why does a guy's testosterone go down anyway? Is it because of the estrogen, or is it because just with age that happens?
Why do your hormones go down?
Well, for me, I'm way more complicated than you are. And,
That's the thing, is we act like we're not. Again, it's like the women are difficult, the men are easy.
Yeah.
Menopause and menopause happen at the same fucking time.
Okay.
Guys just go down.
Okay.
Test goes down, and more is making estrogen. You got good levels of estrogen and no test, and it's all a ratio between the two. It's not like estrogen of 50 is bad when you have a test of 1,000, or 1,200, but when your testosterone's like 200, 300, and you have 50 estrogen, no bueno.
And
it's time. It's a horrible march of time.
Okay, but it won't make a guy more aggressive, would it? Or could it?
What?
Testosterone, supplementing with it. These are all myths I'm bringing to you.
With a hard cock and knowledge of what he wants to do in his life and direction and firmness doesn't make you aggressive. Look at the fear. You're all about your own hormones.
Yeah.
And when I started talking about a guy taking hormones, you've shrunk into a little ball, and we're like, oh my God, are they going to be mean? What? Why do you want to supplement all your hormones and not do that for guys?
No, listen.
That's Crazyville.
I'm with you.
Or now, but you were for a second. You're like,
no, and
all the guys after all the concussions that go crazy and kill people, they have no testosterone at all. That's
really?
When they want to kill themselves. Depression, midlife crisis, the depression, I don't know what I'm doing with myself anymore. That's low testosterone. You want a guy who's got high test and knows what he wants to do and just keeps doing what he used to do.
Wow.
You want a solid husband.
Yeah, absolutely. My husband...
God. Guy who lost all his tests and has got estrogen hates his own life. And how's that going to feel at home? You come back and he's like on the couch watching The Simpsons or something, doesn't know what to fucking do with himself. He's going to be bitchy. He's going to externalize that in this bitchy, underhanded way. You don't want that in a man.
No, I don't.
You want men above the board.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
That's what happens to it. It's bad.
No, I'm with you on that. I'm with you. And I love that you're talking about optimizing men's hormones as well as women's. Because, it's funny because it seems like we everything is all about women's hormones, really.
No, I saw that midway through. I'm like, wait a second. Yeah, no, it's all about because, and I'm so used to being around it in like the anti-aging world. All the guys are like tweaked up. You go to A4M, all these 60-year-olds, they got fucking their buff, and they're like, yep, and they're all like on it. And you're like, hey, how you doing? And you're like talking about shit, and everybody's like, what's next? What's next? And you got to keep all these hormones high. You got to keep growth hormone high. You're either going to supplement growth hormone, which is hard to get prescriptions for, or you're going to do peptides, which stimulate growth hormone release. Because when you have growth hormone, all your weight's up here, and you're like, yeah. And then the growth hormone goes away, and test goes away, it all drops in your belly. It's down here, and you're like,
yes.
So these are all the things you got to keep up and going. And, peptides are this whole world of regulation of age, and they're amazingly powerful. And they're in this like Wild West down in the US. If you go to the right doctor, they're going to get you all these little injectable peptides. Ozempic or something, it's that weight loss thing. Elon was on it. That's peptide, right?
Yes.
There's a million peptides, all just as powerful as that. Now, FDA's trying to take them away. We might make them in sublingual liposomes. We'll see where that all goes. But that's why you take organs, like little pills of pituitary and pineal and thymus.
You see that right there? I got some.
That was all figured out in Russia at the St. Petersburg Institute of Gerontology by a guy named
Cavinson.
Yeah. So those are all little peptides that are in the organs.
Yes.
And they can extract them out, or you can just take organs. Organs.
Yes.
And what was anti-aging back in China? It was shit tons of adaptogens, shit tons of organs, and like growth hormone promoters, which is the deer antler velvet that's got IGF-1 in it.
Wow.
That's how we did everything. Because the adaptogens, like ginseng, increase the number of hormone receptors you have. So say you're at testosterone of 400. We think that's a little low. If you have a lot of receptors, it feels high. If you have no receptors, it feels low. You're at 1,000, you have low receptors, it feels low. So we always talk about these levels, but it's a dance between the receptors and whether there's something stuck on them, like plastics and xenoestrogens and xenohormones. So the number of free receptors and the level of hormones. The adaptogens push up the free receptors. Detox pulls off the things that are screwing up your receptors. So that's bringing you up there. And then you bring up the hormone levels. All these different ways to look at this cat and skin it.
Wow. You're so smart, Chris. It's got to be all that testosterone.
To do this. I try.
Okay. So now.
You just went way off the rails there.
No, but that's okay.
Like everything you have to know about hormones.
But you see, you see me, I'm like fixated because it's so interesting to me because, I have this issue with no thyroid, right? And so there's times when, there's that interplay of what's going on with my other hormones, what's going on with my stress hormone, and, what's my reverse T3? What are the bouncers at the door over the cells doing? Right? And not allowing the medications to get into the cell and do their job. So for me, it's like this delicate play on how I feel. And so
what do you take? Do you take pig thyroid? T3,
I do.
T4, T3? Yeah.
I had to advocate hard for T3. They made me take T4 first.
I think it'll all go from there.
And I went to hell. My health went to hell when I was on T4 only. Yep. I started researching this a long time ago. I said, you need to give me T3. And my endocrinologist looked at me like I was insane. And he said, okay, well, we'll try. I know, but this is like going back 12 years.
So pure like Pharma T4 and Pharma T3, or did you end up eventually on like an Armour type of thing?
So now I'm on T4 synthetic, T3 synthetic. And IRFA, which is the desiccated pig thyroid in Canada. So I had to.
Now that we know what Cavinson knew, there's probably bioregulators in the desiccated thyroid. So that's a good thing.
And I'm seeing, like, when I was at the last biohacking congress, I did that hair analysis with Dr. Alan Bauman. medical. He does the hair restoration.
Yeah. What did he do?
He
What
he
is that?
he has a massive facility in Boca Raton, and he has all these imaging things, and my hair looks really great all along here, but then here not so good. And I'm like, it's starting to grow since I started taking the IRFA. So, you know, it's amazing what
Oh, that
hormones.
guy. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Do you
The
know
hair
who I'm
guy.
talking about? Because
Yeah, no, I thought, yeah, they got the scopes on the hair. I thought you were saying he was measuring T4 and T3 in your
no,
hair.
but he does. He does do that. So what I like
Nice.
about him is that you'll go to him, and if you want what is it, FUE hair replacement, you can get that. But then he'll also look at the root cause of why your hair's lost in the first place too. Cause
Yeah, it's funny. He was right next to us, and I didn't talk to them, but everybody would come out. Oh, they're doing this. I was like, this is pretty high end shit over here.
he's amazing. And the
Yeah,
imaging and everything they do. So
yep.
it's not just about, let's just put, hair
Plugs in
follicles
hair.
in, plugs in.
Yeah.
Although it can be as well. Okay, we are totally getting off the rails here. I just want to make sure we finish the discussion because you're a detox king. So, how does detoxification affect all of the hormones? Because it's a big
So,
part of everything, right?
yeah, yeah. There's two ways. The toxins can get in and bind to the receptors, and then you got a receptor. It's got a plastic in it, and it's got this constant estrogen signal when it shouldn't, or it's just blocking any signal from getting in there. And so toxins on the receptors are big, and so we have DIM in our detox system. But you want to strip away all this stuff. There's so much, and really, if your hormones are dysregulated, you should do even one of our super potent detoxes. You still got to do that for like 2-3 months. Really get everything off of there. And the toxins can also get in the way of the enzymes that are transforming one to another. If I had the picture, I would hold it up, this steroidogenesis chart. You can look that up on Wikipedia, steroidogenesis, and you'll see cholesterol become pregnenolone. And then it goes off this way into like 20
I've
different
seen that.
adrenal hormones. It goes down this way into 20 different sex hormones.
Yes.
And it's important to see that. And all those transformations are happening in membranes of the mitochondria or the endoplasmic reticulum. About 70% on endoplasmic reticulum, 30% on mitochondria. And membranes get all tweaked out from the toxins. And so you'll get like a whole bunch stuck in one pool, not moving into other pools. So detox is huge for normalizing that. And part of our detox is always bringing a lot of phospholipids. That's what makes our liposomes, our nano-emulsions. And then we just give it to you, raw as like empty liposomes, just to be able to feed all those membranes and repair all those membranes so you can make all those transformations happen. So detox is huge in making sure you become all the different hormones, distribute them equally, and that the receptor sites are not stuck with some sort of toxin in them.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, I want to go back to your point on cholesterol. What are your thoughts on statins?
Who the fuck would do that?
I know. I'm with you. I'm with you. Because that's what all our hormones are made out of, cholesterol, right?
Cholesterol is the precursor to every hormone.
Yes.
It starts there, and it goes to pregnenolone from there, and it becomes everything else. And you stop that, you screw all the hormones. So many guys go in like...
Yes. And they become fat.
Yeah.
Right?
And the statins blow out your CoQ10, so your mitochondria aren't working. And then you're a fat, miserable, low energy mess. But you haven't had a heart attack. And really, that's a toss up because the CoQ10 thing makes you have a heart attack. And so statins really just don't work. If your cholesterol's through the roof, it's because you have some other problem. Cholesterol in my world is like, it's like spackle over, there's all kinds of irritation in the cardiovascular system. You got to spackle it up with the cholesterol. And really, everybody who's on our stuff, the cholesterol, they don't end up with plaques and everything. And so if you do have high cholesterol, detox. Take a lot of phosphatidylcholine and see where it goes from there. and then pick up the pieces.
What?
And if you really need to bring it down a little bit, you maybe put some statins in, but you're gonna block all kinds of reactions in your body.
Right.
That.
I know a lot of people whose physicians will put them on like tiny little doses of statins.
That might be okay.
I mean, that might be okay.
Tiny doses with a bunch of CoQ10 and a bunch of phospholipids, and you're probably okay then.
Right. And really
that's why the net in these big studies is like nothing. You didn't change all-cause mortality at all.
Right.
Because whoever you saved from a heart attack, you killed just as many by blowing out their hormone systems and their CoQ10.
Right. And then the other...
So, I would advocate for a microdose of statin as long as you're taking other stuff.
Right. And then the other thing too is what is that cholesterol? What kills me is they'll just do HDL, LDL, triglycerides. And it's like, okay,
break out the particle sizes.
Yes.
If you have VLDLs and stuff and your PLAs are off, well, you got to do something about that.
Right.
Break it all open and see what's in there and figure out root cause. And then treat appropriately. It's like treating thyroid with a TSH number. You're never going to get it right.
Totally.
Yeah, and and so just to say, I don't, just automatically say all are bad. But why would you just go in when you don't know what's going on in there? But if you do go in and you see really small particles and stuff, well, you're going to have to block until you figure out how to change it.
Right, because in studies that I've looked at, the only cholesterol that was connected to heart disease was the small, very dense particles, because they're the ones that embed and create that plaque, right?
Yeah. And then, there's something going on to even have the embedding. Frank Schallenberg gave this great talk on antibiotics and heart disease. So there's this whole studying of the microbiome inside our vasculature, and there's little infections going on there that are creating a lot of this. And I had all this data on reversing heart disease with antibiotics, and we're afraid of antibiotics, but, often you need them, and you need them for reasons you didn't even know. And there was a study by Steve Fry where he was looking at cardiovascular plaques, and they found all this stuff alive in them. There's a microbiome in there. It was a biofilm that was in there.
So interesting.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that is interesting.
You get into looking at spirochetes and cardiovascular disease. Treponema is like the Lyme disease of the gums, and it's highly correlated with cardiovascular disease. Gets into the vasculature, then it drills in, the spirochetes drill into the lining and create inflammation of holes, and then you put plaque in there to plug them up. Once we get to root cause, we'll be like, oh my God, what were we doing?
Yeah. Okay, I guess we are coming close to an hour. I want to make sure that I touch on this. I'm going to name the hormone.
Yeah.
And you're going to tell me what it's good for. Okay? We'll play the hormone game.
All right.
Okay. So, and then, you know what? If we have time, you could do men, women. Okay? So I'll say, because you're so good at this. So DHEA for guys. Why is this important? Oh, it's not as important, we learned. Or
DHEA, it's great for guys.
Oh, but it doesn't convert to testosterone.
That's what we learned.
Right.
Yeah. But on its own, or, just pushing it can't increase testosterone. It's in this tight feedback loop.
Right.
What's it good for? Cognition, metabolism, keep you lean, fit, buff, cardiovascular health. It is a adrenal thing itself. Sexual health. Pretty much everything that test does, but a little bit more rounded towards intelligence. Okay.
What about women?
All the same things. More on sexual, like really drives the libido very nicely. It drives bone health. It drives long-term cognitive health, long-term cardiometabolic health, mitochondrial health. Super good. And becomes testosterone. You can raise your test by raising your DHEA in
Okay.
women.
But because of the delivery system that you
Yep.
guys have, women don't need to worry about the hair and the acne and that
Now,
kind of
only
thing?
in the nanoparticle. If you're taking capsules, so we have the DHEA plus and the pure DHEA.
Okay.
So DHEA plus is pregnenolone, chrysin, dim, fermented Korean ginseng, maca, and dong quai.
Okay.
That's really like the Mac Daddy. And you know what? So many people were afraid of us giving them 100 milligrams. I'm like, take a quarter teaspoon. It'll be 25. They're like, but why are you giving 100? Take a quarter teaspoon. It's 25. Why are you giving 100? I mean, they get so lost in their own headspace. So we made this. It's only 5 milligrams per pump. Oh, thanks. So that's why we have 2. But really, you should take that one.
Okay.
In the nanoparticle format, it goes in unmetabolized. It becomes test right away. It doesn't become all these weird androgenic metabolites that give you the acne.
Okay, and why is this?
Sex hormone.
Okay, wait. But testosterone for women, we like it because
Libido, intelligence, drive, clarity, not being like, oh, what do I do? Not falling apart. You know, the whole like menopause fall apart is no test, no DHEA giving you androgenic clarity, and high estrogen still relative to progesterone giving you constant anxiety. And that's the S to progesterone thing. Bring up progesterone, then you got calmness
yeah.
versus your irritation. Because estrogen does, you know, when you have no estrogen, you get flat. And estrogen makes you cheery. It gives you thickness of the skin, gives you bone density, gives you vaginal wetness, and it's gives you more libido than testosterone does until you go to the high end of the reference ranges, and then testosterone drives libido more than estrogen.
Okay, and then guys certainly don't need to take any of these estrogens, not the estriol, not although you did say that it's still good for the skin.
Low estrogen feels as bad as high estrogen.
For a guy?
Yeah. Total libido, erectile function down, depression.
Oh, interesting. Okay, but you also mentioned that
Very much, you know, it's like a U curve. Your low sucks. Your high sucks. Middle, great.
Wow. Okay. Now, estradiol. Would guys ever go there, down that route, or would it be?
They never have to unless they took too much aromatase inhibitor. They're all in the toilet. They can take a little bit and bring it back up. There could be cases like something's blocking their, you know, you just got to measure, you know, if you're, shouldn't be under 20 and anything under 15 or 12, you really got to bring it up. So if that's there, you would take it. Otherwise, you wouldn't. Estriol, you can take it for the skin. It's the wrinkle killer. And it's probably good for urinary tract and erectile function.
Okay, because you were saying that.
But I don't know. But I have been putting it on my skin, and I kind of noticed. I was like, geez.
Yeah, I feel.
More on that later, you know.
Okay.
But definitely for the skin, estriol for guys.
Okay, and for girls, women.
Oh, totally.
Guys and girls. I like it.
Totally. But then, you know, you get, so girls, a little estriol here, a bunch vulvovaginal.
And that could help with the urinary leaking.
Urinary tract infections, anti-prolapse of the whole pelvic floor dropping, vaginal dryness, vaginal atrophy, like the muscles in there. It's like you get in there, it's like, hello. You know, that's all estriol. Tone that all up really good. You can take estradiol, it'll turn to estriol and go through there. But if you want to keep, for whatever reason, you want to keep estradiol low, you just go direct in there, on there, around there with estriol. And in the end, that's why they do bias. You get a little of both.
All right.
Bias means a blend of estradiol and estriol.
Okay.
But everything pelvic is estriol.
Okay. Wow.
Then estradiol, long-term cognitive function, bone, cardiovascular.
Yes. Yeah. And Did you say brain? Brain.
Yeah, cognitive.
Cognitive. You
Long-term
said
brain, estradiol.
because with women specifically, I guess guys too. The guys, it's more the DHEA and testosterone. With women,
Yeah, because old guys have plenty of estrogen. It just doesn't go away.
yeah,
The test goes down.
yeah,
And it's turning to estrogen a lot. And so I haven't seen old guys with estrogen deficiency much.
right.
But it could exist
All
where
right.
it's all down. But usually you just give them a test and they'll make plenty of estrogen from it. But women, you give them all this DHEA, they got high DHEI, high test, and dick for estrogen.
Wow.
So that's the cruel fate of time, is that women become unhappy men and men become unhappy women.
Oh.
Bummer.
Yeah.
But we don't have to do that. As my friend Frank Schallenberger says, who also talked about the cardiovascular disease being healed by antibiotics, he said, everybody tells me it's not natural to take hormones. And this guy's like 76 and up there like raging. He goes, I'll tell you what's natural, to wither up and become a miserable piece of shit after like 50 or 60. I don't want to do that.
No.
Why would we want to do that?
Exactly. But okay. Thank you so much. This has been, I love chatting with you. We have such a good chemistry when we talk.
We do.
Yeah, we do. And I want you to tell everybody where they can find your products, how they can get to them.
How they can find me. I'm on 1960 Cherry Street in Louisville, Colorado. That's where the company is. Oh, you're probably not going to drive over here. Okay.
No.
So then you got to go to quicksilverscientific.com. We have doctor-only stuff and direct-to-consumer stuff. I'm really big about making things accessible to people who are into their health. And so we sell our stuff right through our website. Some of it's on Amazon, but right through our website is where to go. And everything but the estradiol. And in like 2 months, I'll have a blast, which is a lower dose estradiol with estriol. That'll be available. But right now you can get the DHEA plus, you can get the progesterone, and you can get the estriol, and you can get the pure DHEA. And the other reason we made pure DHEA is like, say you're taking pellets already and progesterone pills and creams, your doctor's got you all pimped out, but he tells you to take a DHEA capsule, just go and get our DHEA. And one pump does 5 milligrams, take as much as they tell you to do.
Yeah.
quicksilverscientific.com. On Instagram, there's Dr. Christopher Shade. There's Quicksilver Scientific. We're on Facebook too. And if you message me and I don't message you back, don't take it personal. I don't look at this stuff.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. I loved our chat and I can't wait to meet you in person again. And don't ignore me next time.
Me off like you did, Maya. You hit for me.
All right. Thanks. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Be sure to share it with someone you know might benefit. And always remember, when you rate, review, subscribe, you help to support my content and help me to keep going and bringing these conversations to you each and every week. Join me next week for a new topic, new guest, new exciting conversations to help you live your best life.